All right, what does the Trump indictment mean for the nation, particularly for Christians? And why should we be praying about this? I'm glad to have you joining us back. And, you know, as I look at the indictment yesterday, former President Trump, obviously the leading candidate in the 2024 upcoming presidential elections, the nomination race, you can call it a lot of things. But one thing you cannot say about this indictment is that it was good or that it was healthy for a fractured or divided nation. Absolutely no one is above the law. But also, political parties functioning within a constitutional republic do not use the hammer of the legal system on their political opponents. That is the type of thing you see in other places.
Look, as an immigrant from the Soviet Russia who fled communism, I don't recognize our country. It's frightening to me that what I'm seeing here is what was happening back in the Soviet Union. These are KGB tactics.
Wow, those are strong words. That was Russian-born U.S. intelligence expert Rebecca Koffler, who served as a Russian doctrine and strategy specialist in the Defense Intelligence Agency. And, you know, throughout today's program, we've talked about the political side of this indictment. We've talked about the legal side of the indictment. But what about the spiritual response? What about the spiritual ramifications of all of this? Well, I'm extremely pleased right now. He is so busy, but joining us on the phone is our president of the Family Research Council, Tony Perkins. He is taking time out of his incredible schedule to join us by phone. Tony, thank you so much for being with us.
Well, Jody, you're doing a great job, and I just want to thank you for being our Friday host. That allows me to focus on some of the other aspects of the Family Research Council on Fridays. And you're an excellent host, and I've been watching the whole program, and it's you're spot on. And I think this raises a lot of questions about this indictment and the political nature of it. You know, Jody, I can tell you this: if President Trump would have governed in a manner similar to how he kind of lived prior to running for president, we wouldn't be having this conversation because the media and the establishment would have loved him. But he didn't. His administration advanced some of the most conservative policy in modern history, and he fought those who have been trying to fundamentally change this country. And so he's been a target. And I think we as Christians, Jody, we've got to step back and we got to be careful not to be sucked into the vortex that the media is creating. Now, you've been very clear, and I want to state this as well. You know, we don't know all the facts, but it looks like they are straining to try and find something. We've talked about statutes of limitations. And this is not anything we didn't know beforehand. All these allegations were raised back during the first presidential campaign that he ran in 2016. So this is not new. And so we're not saying I condemned it back then and I condemn the behavior now. But we have to look, what's behind this? Why does Joe Biden's son engage in all the things that he does? Why does President Biden have all this cloud of controversy over him with China and the media says nothing? And we've seen all of these investigations into President Trump come up with nothing while he was president. Could it be?
Well, you bring up a great point, Tony. If I can just bring this up, because you bring up Hunter Biden's son, and a lot of those transactions that he's had has been in New York. It certainly would come under their jurisdiction to investigate and to deal with as well. But you've also have, while President Trump was in the White House, he did not go after Hillary Clinton. I mean, there were so many issues there, and everywhere Trump went. And I was at several of those rallies. The crowds would start chanting, lock her up, lock her up. But he didn't do it. Why do you think he didn't pursue that?
Well, I asked that question. I mean, I didn't ask to the president directly, but his top advisors, I asked. And the response was not that she had not done something. The evidence was quite clear. But it would look vindictive and it would divide an already fractured nation. And so there was an understanding that the nation came first. We don't see that with these actions here being taken by Democrats. Now, I'm not saying I support the President Trump's decision not to prosecute or his administration. I'm just saying that's the facts. But here's what we've got to look at, Jody. All right, you see the disparity. everybody sees this two-tier system of justice. What's behind this? As Christians, we can't get sucked into the vortex of the immediate, the temporal, and what we're seeing with our eyes. We've got to be prayerful, asking the Lord to open our eyes so that we can understand really what I see very clearly, the spiritual warfare that is raging over our nation. And unfortunately, the president has kind of rushed into this, and he doesn't have the spiritual armor that he needs. We need to be praying for him, and I am, and I've let him know that. But we need to understand that there is a epic battle raging for this nation, and every pulpit in America ought to be praying this weekend for this country and for what is unfolding, whether it's in Nashville, Tennessee, or whether it's the storms in Mississippi or the storms in California or a president being indicted for the first time. This country is being split wide open, and if the people of God are not on their knees praying, I am fearful of what could happen.
Tony, that is extremely well said, and we've only got about 30 seconds, but I think you just laid it out there. We need our listeners, our viewers right now, to be praying about this and encouraging their churches to pray. We are facing a spiritual warfare that must be fought on spiritual terms. And I want to thank you for your leadership in this regard at FRC for so long. And Tony, thank you so much for taking a few moments to join us this evening. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jody. Appreciate you.